Chosen one, something sacred is happening in this very moment. Can you feel it? This isn't just another video. This is a divine encounter. You didn't stumble upon this by accident. No, your spirit was drawn here because heaven has something urgent to release into your life. A shift has occurred in the spirit realm, and your name has just been approved for something extraordinary. Your divine wealth transfer has been activated, and it's already in motion. You've waited. You've sacrificed. You've trusted God even when everything in your world screamed, "Give up." You prayed in rooms where no one heard your cries. You praised Him in valleys where your blessings felt delayed. You've walked roads others couldn't survive. But now the silence has spoken, and the heavens have responded. What was once withheld is now being released. But this isn't just about money. This is about divine alignment. This is about restoration in every area of your life. Your finances, your relationships, your health, your calling. What looked like delay was actually preparation. What felt like rejection was divine redirection. Heaven has been organizing your breakthrough in the background, and now it's stepping forward into the light. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and offer a heartfelt thank you to all of you who have supported this ministry through Super Thanks. Your generosity is not only keeping this message alive, it's multiplying its reach to souls across the world. Whether you give or not, your presence here is a blessing beyond words. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being part of something bigger than all of us. Now, if something in your spirit is already stirring, if something inside you is saying, "This word is mine," then comment 777 below. That number isn't just a symbol, it's a declaration, a sign to heaven and earth that you're ready to step into alignment with what has already been ordained for your life. But let me ask you something. Why is this message reaching you now? Why is your spirit more awake than ever, right as this divine transfer begins? Could it be that you were never overlooked, only hidden until the appointed time? What if the very season you wanted to escape was the one that forged the strength needed for this blessing? You're about to witness the unraveling of divine timing in your favor, the kind that no human hands can manufacture, the kind where only God gets the glory. Stay with me, chosen one, because what's coming next will confirm what your spirit has already suspected. This is your time, and nothing can stop it. God's chosen ones, heaven has approved it. Your wealth transfer starts now. You didn't arrive at this moment by chance. You're walking into something that was whispered into existence long before the world even recognized your name. This is a holy unveiling, one that has been signed, sealed, and preserved in the divine archives of heaven. Before your struggles had names, before your hands knew the weight of loss, your name was etched into the scroll of destiny, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. Chosen. Have you ever wondered why you've always felt like something was waiting for you on the other side of silence? Why you could never settle for what others seemed content with? That inner pull was not your imagination. It was prophecy encoded in your spirit. Jeremiah 29:11 reveals God's heart when he declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." The wealth transfer that is now being released into your life is not a last-minute decision. It was part of that very plan. This divine transfer isn't just about material increase. It's the unsealing of spiritual resources, favor, access, wisdom, strategy, and divine protection. It's about receiving what was preserved for you, often through the prayers and faith of those who came before. Hebrews 11:13 speaks of those who died in faith, not having received the promise, but seeing it afar off. What they saw from a distance, you are now holding. Their prayers didn't expire. You are the answer to them. Even in this modern generation, we have witnessed glimpses of such transfers in motion. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, grew up in a poor housing complex in Brooklyn, New York. His father worked low-paying jobs and had no health insurance. But Schultz, driven by purpose and a vision larger than survival, built one of the most iconic brands in the world. When asked why he made employee benefits a central part of his company's values, he said, "I wanted to build the kind of company my father never had the chance to work for." That's wealth transfer, not just in dollars, but in justice, compassion, and restoration of a family legacy. Why do stories like these stir something deep within you? Because they are mirrors. They reveal the hidden truth that you too carry a redemptive assignment. The resources being unlocked in your life now are not solely for your comfort. They are tools for kingdom transformation. Can you sense that what's coming is greater than anything you've ever built with your own hands? Like Joseph in Genesis, you've been in a hidden place for years, misunderstood, underestimated, perhaps even betrayed. But it was all preparation for the position you're stepping into. His wealth transfer came when Pharaoh placed him second over all of Egypt. But the real gift wasn't just power. It was the authority to feed a generation. You're entering a similar shift. What's being given to you is meant to bless others beyond you. In the stillness of past seasons, when you chose faith over fear and trust over timing, heaven began to move. Do you remember the moments when you kept sowing in silence, even though nothing around you confirmed your breakthrough was near? That was the birthing ground of legacy. Galatians 6:9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." That due season has arrived. You didn't miss it. You weren't too late. God has not overlooked you. Every moment of obedience was recorded. Every tear was noticed. Every sacrifice echoed louder in heaven than any applause on earth. What you're about to walk into was prepared for someone with your exact heart. Someone who didn't quit when it was hardest. Someone who stayed faithful even when it cost everything. This is not about striving or earning. It's about aligning. What belongs to you is not earned through hustle. It is accessed through identity. That's why you don't need to chase what is already written in your name. As Isaiah 55:11 assures us, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." The scroll has been read in heaven. Your name was called. The seal has been broken. The gates are open. And now the divine transfer begins, not as a reward for performance, but as a fulfillment of prophecy. This is the moment your spirit has been prepared for all along. The blessing has already been declared, and now it is being delivered. Before every rise comes a sacred silence, and before God ever allows a chosen one to step into the light of visibility, He wraps them in the shadows of secrecy, not as punishment, not because you were overlooked, but because heaven was guarding something precious, you. In this divine orchestration, hiding isn't rejection, it's refinement, it's insulation before elevation, protection before platform, and preparation before promotion. If you've ever wondered why your name wasn't called, why your prayers echoed unanswered, why the room felt empty even when you poured your soul out, realize now that you were not being denied, you were being developed. God could not afford to let you be discovered before you were rooted. Just like a seed must be buried in darkness before it ever breaks the surface, your gift had to mature where no eyes could distort it. The silence you endured was not a silence of absence, it was a silence full of instruction. Psalm 32:7 whispers the truth. "You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance." You were hidden in His care. What would have happened if you were seen too soon? if the wrong people had access to your calling before you understood your worth. They might have defined you by their fears or molded you into what served their comfort, not your calling. God knew the spotlight would have scorched you if your identity wasn't anchored in Him. The applause might have become your addiction. The fame could have derailed your faith. That hidden season wasn't an accident. It was a divine cocoon where your anointing was formed in silence. A place where God trained your spirit to hear His whisper over the world's noise. You weren't unseen. You were shielded. And in that place you learned things the platform could never teach. David, before he ever defeated Goliath or became king, spent years in the fields with sheep. 1 Samuel 17:34-36 tells us how he fought off lions and bears in secret. No crowd, no crown, just God, His sling, and a willingness to protect what no one else valued. That field became his furnace. It was where he learned obedience, courage, and how to trust God's voice above his own fear. It was never just about killing a giant. It was about surviving the quiet battles that made him ready for public ones. Isn't it the same with you? The nights you cried thinking no one saw, the sacrifices you made that never got applause, the loyalty you offered and never got back. Every tear you shed in silence watered something powerful within you. You were being made ready, not for performance, but for purpose. And this divine pattern isn't just ancient, it's alive in people today. Viola Davis, the Oscar-winning actress, was born into poverty, raised in a home plagued with hardship, and spent years being passed over in Hollywood. She once said, "The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity." What the world didn't see was the long silence before her spotlight. But in that silence, her character was sharpened, her voice was shaped, and when her time came, she didn't just act, she embodied truth. Her rise was not just about fame, it was about message, mission, and healing for generations who saw themselves in her journey. What if your silence wasn't an exile, but an invitation to divine intimacy? What if your hiding place was heaven's hands holding you until you could stand with wisdom instead of wounds? Isaiah 49:2 speaks this clearly. "He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver." You were not discarded, you were being sharpened. And now something is shifting. You feel it, don't you? The old pain doesn't weigh the same. The battles that once crushed you now empower you. You're walking differently. There's a steadiness in your steps and a stillness in your soul. Why? Because you've passed the tests, those invisible trials of patience, humility, and unwavering trust. God is preparing to bring you into places you once only saw in dreams. But this time, you're not stepping in as a wounded version of yourself, desperate for validation. You're entering as a healed vessel, carrying oil forged in fire. This unveiling won't be about numbers or likes. It will be about heaven's light moving through your story. Matthew 5:16 reminds us, "Let your light so shine before others, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So don't curse the hidden years. They were never wasted. Every unanswered question, every quiet breakthrough, every private victory has shaped you for this unveiling. The waiting place was the making place. You were being taught how to carry favor without arrogance, influence without compromise, and faith without applause. The wilderness didn't break you, it built you. And now God is getting ready to release you, not because you need a stage, but because the world needs your testimony. You are not emerging for fame, but for fulfillment. This is not about being seen. This is about being sent. You're no longer hidden. You are rising. And this time, you're stepping out with grace, wisdom, and divine power that can only come from the one who loved you enough to hide you until you were ready to carry the weight of the promise. Something far greater than a market correction is happening. While the world stays glued to screens, chasing economic news and fearing collapses, A quiet but unstoppable divine transfer is already in motion. You, God's chosen one, are standing at the edge of a spiritual economic shift, one that has nothing to do with Wall Street and everything to do with the kingdom of heaven. This isn't about being lucky in timing or smart in investing. It's about being in alignment. The spiritual economy is moving, and it's not responding to inflation, recession, or currency values. It responds to one thing: faith. It is rooted not in scarcity, but in the principle of abundance that began in Eden, where Adam lacked nothing because he walked in direct communion with God. That kind of provision has not ceased. It simply shifted to those who are willing to walk by faith and not by sight. While many scramble to decode the next financial forecast, heaven is orchestrating a reallocation of resources. Proverbs 13:22 gives us a hint. The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. This redistribution is not poetic language, it's prophetic reality. And you are being positioned not just to receive, but to govern. The shift is not only financial, it's structural. Ownership is changing hands. Businesses, platforms, patents, farmland, media, ministries, and movements. Why now? Because righteousness must rise in areas long dominated by darkness. Systems built on corruption and exploitation are starting to fracture. You've probably noticed. Legacy brands are imploding, massive corporations are under judgment, and once untouchable financial empires are gasping for breath. That's not chaos, it's divine recalibration. As Haggai 2:6-7 foretells, "In a little while I will once more shake the heavens and the earth. I will shake all nations, and what is desired by all nations will come, and I will fill this house with glory." This is the shaking. And in the midst of it, you're being raised up, not for personal gain, but for divine stewardship. What was hidden is being revealed. What was withheld is being released. Why do you think your spirit has felt this restlessness lately? Why have you been feeling the urge to prepare, to simplify, to listen more closely to God's voice? Because your positioning matters in moments of transfer, and the transfer has begun. There are examples even today of individuals who aligned with higher purpose and were accelerated beyond logic. Damon John, founder of Fubu and investor on Shark Tank, started his business from his mother's house in Queens with $40. He worked at Red Lobster by night and stitched clothing by day. He once said, "The easiest thing to sell is truth." When he aligned his life with discipline, integrity, and vision, doors opened. Today, he influences economic conversations on national levels. That wasn't just hustle. It was spiritual timing, meeting personal readiness. The same principle is working in your life now. Have you noticed that your provision no longer comes from the places you expected? That when you stopped chasing outcomes and started chasing obedience, resources began to appear without your manipulation? That's not accidental. That's heaven's economy at work. Deuteronomy 28:12 confirms this. "The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, and bless all the work of your hands." You are not in competition with the world's economy. You are operating in a different realm altogether. The spiritual economy doesn't need inflation reports to move. It doesn't answer to scarcity. It flows through purity, surrender, and purpose. When your mission becomes more important than your money, favor follows like a companion. This is why you must not be surprised when miracles start to look like financial breakthroughs, when student loans disappear, when legal battles settle in your favor, when someone you didn't expect funds the very vision you were afraid to speak out loud, when a house, land, or license comes into your hands effortlessly. Heaven is not reacting, heaven is fulfilling. God is raising up voices, not just for pulpits, but for boardrooms, legislative floors, and technological innovation. You may find yourself sitting at tables you never campaigned to be at, because this is not about self-promotion, it's about divine placement. Like Esther, who was positioned for the preservation of a nation, you too are being placed for kingdom, preservation, and prosperity. This acceleration you're beginning to feel, it's not coincidence. It's the byproduct of every silent act of obedience, every private act of generosity, every surrender that went unseen by man but documented in heaven. Isaiah 60:5 declares, "Then you shall see and be radiant. Your heart shall thrill and exult, because the abundance of the sea shall be turned to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you." So when the doors open without force, when provision finds you in the wilderness, when strategies come in dreams and partnerships arrive by divine design, remember this: you are not chasing wealth. Wealth is catching up to you. This is divine transfer in motion. And you're not just a receiver, you are a carrier of this new economy. You must come to this sacred understanding. God is not funding egos. He is not resourcing ambition dressed in holiness, nor blessing empires that glorify self while invoking his name only for branding. Heaven does not invest in clout, trend, or personal kingdoms built on performance. The transfer is reserved for those whose posture reflects purity, whose hands are lifted in surrender, and whose hearts beat in rhythm with divine purpose. Have you taken a moment to examine your posture in this hour? Are your prayers driven by the desire to impact or to impress? Because this season is filtering intentions, God is releasing provision to those prepared not just to receive, but to carry it with integrity. Psalm 24:3-5 asks, "Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart. They will receive blessing from the Lord." This is not about appearing ready, it's about actually being rooted. For those who have chosen obedience over convenience, who have remained faithful when unseen, who have served in silence, get ready. The delay is over. But what's coming isn't just what you hoped for. It's beyond the spreadsheet. It's beyond your budget. It's the kind of overflow that doesn't make sense on paper, but aligns perfectly with heaven's records. The kind of release that confirms this was never about what you could build. It was about what you were chosen to carry. Have you noticed the internal shift lately? That your desires have been purified? That the things you once chased no longer entice you? That your idea of success has been redefined? That's not random. That's heaven aligning you for release. The transfer began the moment your motives matured. And now that your spirit is in agreement with your assignment, things are unlocking rapidly. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You have not missed it. You are exactly where heaven knew you would be when the scroll of your life was written. Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us that he makes everything beautiful in its time. Not early, not rushed, but in its appointed season. This is yours. This divine shift is not isolated to your finances. It touches every part of you. Mentally, you're being renewed. Emotionally, you're being healed. Spiritually, you're being anchored. And physically, your surroundings are being upgraded to reflect the glory you're being called to carry. God is not simply blessing you, He is entrusting you. This is about stewardship, legacy, and eternal impact. Consider Kanye West, a figure whose journey through fame, failure, and faith has been watched on a global stage. In one of his rare candid moments during a 2019 interview, he said, "I'm no longer a slave. I'm a son now, a son of God." Whether people agree with his methods or not, the spiritual principle remains clear. When someone who once lived for empire surrenders to kingdom, the alignment activates a shift. Provision follows purpose. Platforms bow to calling, and favor flows through repentance. Do you see now why obedience has weight? Why God waited until now? Not to punish you, but to protect the purity of what He placed in you. If the blessing had come before the breaking, it might have broken you. But now, you've been refined. And because of that, the gates are opening, not just slightly, but wide. Deuteronomy 8:18 declares, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may confirm His covenant." You are not being funded for comfort. You are being equipped for covenant fulfillment. So, walk into this moment without shrinking. Stand boldly in the place you've been prepared for. Trust the flow of favor. Receive the restoration. Let the acceleration come without fear or apology. Because when God funds a vision, no man, no institution, no policy, and no principality can block the outcome. The spiritual economy has already shifted. The transaction is live. The scroll has your name on it. And now, you, chosen one, are on the receiving end of heaven's wealth. Chosen one, let this truth settle into your spirit. What's about to be released into your life is not a reward for outworking everyone around you. It's not merely the result of burning the midnight oil, pushing through exhaustion, or sacrificing sleep. Yes, your effort has value. Yes, your discipline mattered. But those things were never meant to be the source of your breakthrough. They were the soil, the foundation, the preparation. The real bridge between where you were and what is about to manifest is not labor alone. It's faith. This kind of faith is not passive. It's not merely believing something in your heart while continuing to act in fear. True faith shifts posture. It repositions your thoughts, aligns your speech, recalibrates your decisions. It causes you to show up differently, not as someone striving for approval, but as someone walking in divine authority. Too many people are still trying to grind their way into favor, thinking that more work, more hustle, more sacrifice will move the hand of God. But heaven doesn't respond to hustle, it responds to alignment. Hebrews 11:6 says it plainly, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God." Not without effort, not without works, without faith. Faith is what activates the promise. Have you noticed that some of the most spiritually exhausted seasons were the ones where you did the most physically but saw the least fruit? That's because effort disconnected from faith becomes striving. But when you move in trust, when you rest in what God has already declared, things begin to flow, not by force, but by favor. You've already been through the proving ground. You've walked away from what glittered but lacked glory. You said no to relationships, opportunities, and environments that didn't carry God's signature. You sowed generously, even when you had only a little left. You showed up in faith when you had no audience, and what you may have felt was overlooked was actually being recorded by heaven. Galatians 3:9 declares, "So then, those who rely on faith are blessed along with Abraham, the man of faith." Abraham didn't become a father of nations by effort. He became one by believing what God said, even when every physical circumstance said otherwise. Can you imagine the mental warfare he endured? Yet he held on to faith, and that bridge carried him from barrenness to blessing. You too are being invited to cross that same kind of bridge. You don't have to strive to make what is already written in your scroll manifest. You simply have to align. And when your inner world aligns with God's word, doors open without knocking, resources find you without chasing, and clarity comes without striving. Even in the world of high achievement, this principle has proven true. Jim Carrey, known for his comedic brilliance, once shared how he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it 5 years into the future, and kept it in his wallet. He visualized, believed, and worked, yes, but it was faith, not just effort, that bridged the gap. 5 years later, he received that exact amount for his breakout role in Dumb and Dumber. Though not a theologian, Carrie's story reflects a spiritual law. When faith and preparation meet divine timing, acceleration happens. So, look around your life right now. Are you grinding from a place of fear, or are you moving in calm confidence because you know God is ahead of you? When you understand that the heavy lifting was already done at the cross, your posture changes. You're no longer begging, you're receiving. You're not striving, you're stewarding. You've already paid the price in obedience. You've stayed in rooms where your worth went unnoticed. You've sown seeds in seasons of lack. You've chosen integrity when compromise was easier. And even when heaven seemed silent, it was watching. This is why now your role is not to do more, it's to trust more, not to hustle harder, but to step into deeper rest. Not rest as in inactivity, but rest in assurance. Faith is not absence of movement, it's alignment of movement. Isaiah 30:15 reminds us, "In repentance and rest is your salvation, in quietness and trust is your strength." That's where the real power is, not in how loudly you move, but in how deeply you trust. So walk across the bridge that has been laid before you. It's not paved with sweat, it's paved with surrender. And when you cross it, you'll discover that what you were working so hard to build has already been prepared for you all along. The transfer is not coming because you earned it, it's coming because you believed. This is not a season where more effort equals more blessing. It's a season where clarity of posture unlocks what striving never could. You are no longer required to hustle to earn what heaven has already signed over to your name. The blessing is not approaching, it's already here. And the only thing left to do is to step into it boldly, unapologetically, and without fear. But don't mistake boldness for pride. This isn't about self-confidence, it's about faith confidence, an inner knowing that your name has already been written into the inheritance, that the scroll has been opened and that your portion is secure. Faith is never passive. It doesn't sit in silence hoping for change. Faith is motion. Faith shows up. Faith enters the room as if the opportunity was tailor-made. Faith builds the ark with no storm in sight. Faith prepares the land while still in the desert. Hebrews 11:7 reminds us, "By faith Noah, when warned about things not yet seen, in holy fear built an ark to save his family." He didn't wait for proof. He moved with conviction. Can you feel that same call stirring in your own life right now? This is the hour when you must begin thinking like one who has already received. Speak like one who is already walking in it. Plan like one who knows the door has already been opened. Stop negotiating with doubt. The terms of your blessing have already been ratified in heaven. You are not working to be approved. You are aligning to receive what has already been declared. This shift is not about proving your worth. It's about resting in your identity. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. And heaven doesn't pour abundance into hands stretched out in desperation, but into hands poised in trust, ready to steward, not scramble. You are not a spiritual orphan scraping for scraps. You are a child of God, a legal heir of the kingdom. Romans 8:17 declares it plainly, "Now if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ." Your place at the table has already been prepared. The question is no longer whether you're invited. The question is, will you walk in with boldness, or will you hesitate in false humility? Even in modern times, we see examples of those who shifted from striving to surrender and watched the atmosphere change. Letitia Wright, the actress known for her role in Black Panther, once turned down several major roles to remain aligned with her faith. She said in an interview, "I needed to take a step back and get my relationship with God right." That pause in her career wasn't a delay, it was divine alignment. And when she returned, it was to global recognition, purpose-filled roles and opportunities that found her, not ones she had to chase. Are you preparing yourself to receive like that? Are you setting your table while others are still waiting for an invitation? Because that's what faith does. It gets the room ready before the doorbell rings. Yes, continue to be diligent. Be excellent in your craft. Show up with integrity. But never forget, your effort is not the foundation. Faith is. It is your trust, not your talent, that activates heaven's hand. The very moment you shift from chasing approval to walking in identity, From grinding in fear to moving in faith, the bridge is activated. What felt delayed begins to move. What was stuck begins to flow. Isaiah 1:19 confirms it. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. This divine transfer you've heard about, it's not coming to the loudest, flashiest, or most connected. It's coming to the faithful, the ones who refused to bow to fear, the ones who kept building when no one was watching, the ones who believed even when nothing looked like it was working. And that means it's coming to you. Many believe the wealth transfer that's unfolding in your life is simply financial, a surprise deposit, an unexpected inheritance, a sudden burst of income. But what if this only scratches the surface? What if what's being delivered to you is far more layered, far more supernatural, far more purposeful than money alone could ever measure? What God is releasing is not one-dimensional. This transfer is deeply multi-dimensional, crafted to touch not just your bank account, but your mind, your health, your voice, your peace, your ability to love and lead with wisdom. It will influence your choices, elevate your thinking, and recalibrate your relationships. God's abundance has never fit inside the human definition of wealth, and He is not about to let your blessing be boxed in now. The transfer that's coming to you will restructure your very foundation. You'll begin to notice your thoughts shifting toward clarity. Decisions you once labored over will now come with peace. New strength will settle into your body. Conversations will ignite purpose. Ideas will burst forth like rivers, and your influence will expand without striving. Isaiah 43:19 speaks of this kind of shift. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? Yes, you will know it, because everything will begin to change. This wealth isn't only currency, it's capacity. Capacity to carry what others collapse under. Capacity to parent with wisdom, to steward with integrity, to dream beyond survival. It is divine positioning, not for status, but for strategy. Just as Solomon asked, not for riches, but for wisdom to lead God's people. 1 Kings 3:9. Your portion is coming with divine intelligence, and because of that, abundance will follow you as a byproduct of alignment, not ambition. This is the kind of provision that establishes legacy. You are being chosen not merely to receive, but to restructure generational cycles. Have you ever looked at your bloodline and felt a holy discontent? A sense that the patterns must stop with you? That sense is part of your anointing. You are being equipped to teach your children not only how to acquire wealth, but how to own, how to give, and how to govern. Think of Viola Davis, the award-winning actress who was born into extreme poverty. She often shared how she grew up hungry, wearing second-hand clothes and dealing with unimaginable shame. Yet, through her calling, perseverance, and faith, she became a beacon of hope. She said in an interview, "I always knew I was meant for more. I didn't know how it would happen, but I never stopped believing." Today, she doesn't just act. She speaks, produces, and funds educational and humanitarian projects for others who come from where she once stood. What changed her life was not just fame, it was alignment. Her voice was amplified for a purpose greater than performance. And so is yours. Your calling is now being sponsored by heaven. Your voice is no longer going unheard. Your ideas, divinely downloaded into your spirit, are being funded with resources, partnerships, and access that only God could orchestrate. Revelation 3:7 declares, "What He opens, no one can shut, and what He shuts, no one can open." What's about to open to you will not require credentials, connections, or campaigns. It will require courage. This is divine flow, and it often arrives in disguise. A mentor unexpectedly placed in your path, a relocation that makes no logical sense, an idea that keeps returning no matter how many times you try to shelve it, a simple yes from someone that seems random but shifts your entire trajectory. These are not coincidences. They are heaven's delivery systems. Always unconventional, always undeniable. When it aligns with your purpose, when it blesses more than just you, when it challenges you to rise in wisdom and responsibility, and when no one but God can take credit, then you'll know. That's the fingerprint of divine transfer. This is why you cannot shrink when resources appear. You must expand. This is not the time to apologize when favor lands on your name. You must walk in it boldly. Deuteronomy 28:12 says, "The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to bless all the work of your hands." You are the one whose hands have been prepared. You are the one whose spirit has been refined. You are the one who can carry this without compromise. And now the impossible is becoming inevitable. The weight of what's being released is not crushing you, it's crowning you. This isn't just wealth for your pockets, this is wealth for your purpose. Now that the divine transfer has begun, now that the storehouses of heaven have been opened in your favor, and the gates no man can shut have been unlocked, you are stepping into a new responsibility just as sacred as receiving, guarding what has been entrusted to you. This is no ordinary season. What has been placed in your hands is both holy and strategic. It is your assignment, your legacy, your portion, and it must be protected. God has chosen you for overflow, but with great release comes greater resistance. The moment you begin walking in what is rightfully yours, the enemy changes his tactic. He no longer focuses on preventing your blessing. He begins trying to distract you from protecting it. If he cannot steal the seed, he'll try to corrupt the soil. If he cannot block the door, he'll try to invite the wrong people through it. You are not under attack because you did something wrong. You are under attack because you received something right. This is why discernment is no longer optional for you. You now see with clarity that you once prayed for. Your ears are tuned to heaven's frequency. You are no longer moved by compliments or convenience. Not everyone is called to walk with you into this next chapter. Some connections were seasonal, some assignments were temporary, and wisdom is knowing which ones to release without guilt. Think of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. As soon as the work began, opposition rose. Sanballat and Tobiah didn't fight him when the vision was still a dream. They only attacked when the walls started rising. Nehemiah 4. Nehemiah didn't come down from the wall to argue. He guarded his mission with focus and prayer. The lesson: you don't have to respond to every voice. You just have to keep building and keep guarding. This wealth you're receiving isn't just money. It's spiritual, emotional, mental, and generational. It's influence, clarity, favor, and strategy. So, how do you guard it? You guard it with intentionality. Not everyone should have access to your thoughts. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. You must be deliberate with your yes, and even more protective with your no. Every decision now must be filtered through purpose, not pressure. Even Jesus, after multiplying the loaves and fish, went away to a solitary place to pray. Mark 1:35. He guarded his strength through solitude and communion with the Father. Have you noticed how, after great wins, you often feel the pull to isolate? Not out of fear, but because your spirit knows you need covering. That instinct is not weakness, it's spiritual maturity. Pray over what you receive. Don't just budget, bless. Anoint your finances. Speak life into your business. Lay hands on your vision boards, your blueprints, your journals. Cover your children, your home, and your inner circle with prayer. Why? Because every blessing comes with an assignment, and every assignment invites opposition. Your prayers become the invisible fence that keeps spiritual predators from entering what God has made sacred. Spiritual warfare doesn't always come as thunder and fire. Sometimes it shows up wearing the mask of distraction, a friendship that drains your spirit, a habit you thought you buried, a new opportunity that pulls you away from God's instructions. That's why you must remain anchored in purpose. Ephesians 6:11 tells us, "Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." That armor is for spiritual defense, not just physical preservation. You are not called to leak your anointing. You are called to pour it with precision. And precision requires you to be full, not fragmented. Covered, not exposed. Focused, not flattered. Tyler Perry, before becoming a media mogul, went through seasons of spiritual pruning. He often speaks about how he had to learn not to invite everyone into his dream, how he had to guard the vision God gave him, even when it meant walking away from certain deals and relationships. He said, "I didn't want to be famous. I wanted to be faithful." That posture created a platform that now blesses millions. His boundary became his protection, and his protection preserved the blessing. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your discernment. You don't need to justify your boundaries. This is not selfishness, it's stewardship. When God gives you a vineyard, you don't plant wild seeds. You cultivate it with care, with reverence, and with wisdom. What's been placed in your life is not for popularity, it's for purpose, and your purpose must be guarded, not glamorized. That's why you're being called to a higher level of stewardship. Guard your time, your energy, your peace. Stay faithful to the instructions God whispered to you in private, even if others don't understand them in public. The blessing is here. Now your role is to keep it covered, with prayer, with wisdom, and with unwavering obedience. The time for waiting has passed. Heaven has shifted. The atmosphere around you has changed. The blessing has been released, not just as a promise spoken over your life, but now as a reality you are standing in. Doors that were once sealed have been commanded to open. Resources that seemed far off have arrived right on time. And your name is now being spoken in places your feet have not yet touched. But there is something God is still requiring of you. Walk in it. This is not the moment to retreat into old mentalities. It is not the season to question your worth, nor to camouflage your light out of comfort for those who once dismissed your calling. You've been chosen, and not just for a platform, but for a purpose that must now be embodied. Every delay, every betrayal, every wilderness season didn't just test you, it transformed you. 2 Corinthians 3:18 declares, "And we all are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory." That transformation wasn't cosmetic. It was internal, deep, sacred. And now it's time for you to walk boldly into what was already written in your name. Chosen one, remember who you are. You didn't survive all those trials to arrive at your promise and second-guess your place in it. Don't let false humility become a disguise for fear. Don't let the residue of past rejection cause you to shrink back when elevation arrives. There's a throne built for you, and it was crafted by God, not men. You don't have to prove you belong. Your very survival proves you're qualified. Like Esther, who once hid her identity, you've come into the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. She could have let fear silence her, but instead she stepped forward with quiet courage, transforming the fate of her people. You are being positioned the same way, not to blend in, but to stand up, not to hide, but to reveal the glory of God through your obedience. You are no longer the one who wept in private, wondering if the promise was ever real. You are no longer the weary soul asking, "Did I miss my moment?" The wilderness refined you. It stripped away illusions and gave birth to insight. In hidden places, your character was strengthened. Your discernment was sharpened. You were being prepared so that when this moment came, you wouldn't just enter it, you'd honor it. The fruit now visible in your life, the peace, the provision, the alignment, is not for show. It is your testimony. Let your life speak what your mouth no longer needs to explain. Psalm 34 verse 8 reminds us, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." And now your life is the fruit others will taste and see. You don't need to announce your arrival. Your fruit will speak for itself. The elevation, the influence, the favor, it's not evidence of superiority, it's evidence of surrender. You are now the living proof that God keeps his promises, that obedience unlocks overflow, that when you align with heaven, access is inevitable. And when God ordains it, no one can override it. Take a look at Sarah Jakes Roberts, a powerful woman of God who once lived in the shadows of shame. Pregnant at 13, divorced by 23, she was doubted by many, but she didn't let her failures define her. She chose to rise. And today, she's not just a speaker, she's a movement. She walks with the authority of someone who has been healed by fire. She said, God doesn't just redeem your story, he reveals his glory through it. And just like her, you are being asked to let your transformation become your message. So, walk tall, not with arrogance, but with fulfilled faith. This is not ego. This is evidence. Your presence in rooms you never campaigned to enter, your access to blessings you never manipulated to receive, your wisdom in moments you never trained for. All of this proves that God has walked with you. You are not arriving in pride. You are arriving in prophecy fulfilled. Build boldly. Speak with precision. Lead with compassion. Receive with humility. Let love be your legacy and truth be your compass. You are not who you were, and you are not where you're going yet, but you're becoming it. And that becoming is holy. Don't apologize for walking in your promise. Don't hide behind disclaimers. You were made for this. The kingdom needs to see what it looks like when a chosen one says yes and keeps walking. You are the evidence. You are the living testimony. You are the proof that trusting God through the valley leads to glory on the mountaintop. And now, walk in it. This wealth transfer is not a dream meant to soothe the weary or a motivational phrase dressed up in spiritual language. It is a prophetic reality, decreed from heaven and sealed before time itself. This moment has been appointed, not imagined. And now that the mantle has been placed upon you, the mission is clear. Carry it with reverence and courage. There is no more room for hesitation. The heavens have spoken. You've been anointed not only to receive, but to rebuild, to rise, to release, and to reveal what God can do through someone fully surrendered. Step boldly into this calling. Build what others were afraid to start. Create what didn't exist before you arrived. Restore what was broken in your family line. Shine so brightly that darkness cannot dwell near you. You are not in waiting mode anymore. You are in motion. You are no longer begging for the promise. You are holding it. The survival season has ended. You are stepping into overflow. The shift is not coming, it is here. And with that shift comes impact. The souls who have been tethered to your obedience will awaken. The people silently watching your transformation will realize that faith is still alive. The generations that follow you will speak your name and say, God still rewards the faithful, because look what he did through them. Just as Joshua led Israel into the promised land, so are you now being instructed to possess what your ancestors only dreamed of. They cried out for freedom. You are the answer. They fought for survival. You are building legacy. They saw the vision from afar. You are walking it out. And just like Joshua, you are not going alone. Heaven marches with you. What's being released into your life isn't based on what you see in your current surroundings. It's based on what God has already sealed in the unseen realm. 2 Corinthians 5:7 declares, "We walk by faith, not by sight." This is the moment to walk like you've already received it, to praise like it's already done, to plan like the harvest is already in your field. Your faith posture is the very platform that invites the manifestation of heaven into your reality. When you believe before you see, when you align before you arrive, you pull the unseen into the seen. This isn't about forcing God's hand, it's about agreeing with what He's already written. Doubt is not just dangerous, it's a delay. But faith delivers. Every time you reject fear and choose belief, you build a bridge between where you are and what's already yours. Hebrews 11:1 reminds us, "Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith is not waiting for the sign, it is the sign. No person, no institution, no algorithm or gatekeeper can block what heaven has already marked with your name. God is not consulting man's opinion to confirm his promise. You are moving with divine backing. And this transfer, it's been in motion for generations. What your great-grandmother prayed for in tears is now falling like rain into your hands. You are the one chosen to receive, to steward, and to multiply it. Even in the world's view, those who truly rise carry a conviction deeper than ambition. Consider Chadwick Boseman, the beloved actor who brought power and grace to roles like T'Challa in Black Panther. Behind the scenes, he was battling cancer, but his faith never wavered. He once said, "When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. God will move someone out of the way to get to you if it's meant for you." His life became a symbol of divine assignment, lived with boldness and humility. And just like that, you are called to carry your mantle without fear, even when no one else sees what's costing you behind the scenes. Now speak this over your life, not as empty words, but as living prophecy. Let it reverberate through your spirit until the atmosphere shifts. I receive my divine wealth transfer. I am aligned, appointed, and anointed for such a time as this. I am ready. I am worthy. I am walking in my harvest. Say it again. Let every declaration echo through every room of doubt within you. Let the weight of truth settle into your bones. You are not just repeating words, you are activating destiny. You are commanding your environment to bow to what heaven already declared. And now, watch what happens next. Because heaven has already approved it. The transfer is not coming. It has begun. Now that the wealth transfer has been released into your life, not just material, but spiritual, emotional, mental, and generational, it is time to multiply what you've received. God didn't place these blessings in your hands simply to be held. He placed them there to be multiplied, stewarded, and distributed with precision and purpose. The world sees wealth as accumulation, but heaven sees wealth as assignment. What you've been given is not only for your comfort, it's for kingdom construction. You are now a builder, a restorer, a teacher, a distributor of divine abundance. Matthew 25 tells the story of the talents, how one servant hid what he was given in fear, and another doubled his portion in faith. The difference wasn't ability, it was perspective. One protected out of panic, the other multiplied out of trust. You're not called to bury what God gave you out of fear that it might be taken. You're called to invest it boldly, knowing that what comes from God cannot be lost when it's used for His purpose. Have you asked yourself what this transfer is meant to fund? What lives it's supposed to touch? What systems it's meant to disrupt? Because what God is depositing in you now is the seed of generational change. You're not just receiving, you're being instructed to create legacy. Consider Robert F. Smith, billionaire investor and philanthropist, who surprised an entire graduating class at Morehouse College by paying off all their student debt. But his wealth didn't start as a donation, it started as vision. He said, "We will never achieve our full potential as a people if we continue to leave behind generations in debt." That wasn't just generosity, it was strategic restoration. It was divine redistribution with a long-term view. That's what you're being called into. You've prayed for the overflow. Now ask for the wisdom to multiply it. Ask God not just for increase, but for insight. Not just for access, but for accuracy. Because what you do next isn't about speed, it's about sustainability. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." That doesn't just mean money, it means principles, strategy, protection, positioning. You're building something that will outlive you, and that is why God is trusting you with this level of blessing. But here's the weight of it. The more God trusts you with, the more focused you must become. No more pouring into empty vessels, no more casting pearls before swine. The time of emotional spending, whether financial or spiritual, is over. You are now a gatekeeper, a steward, a distributor of kingdom wealth. This is not the season for casual movement. Every move must be made with intentionality. Every decision must be filtered through purpose. Every opportunity must be held up against the light of your assignment, because the next level of transfer doesn't come to those who receive. It comes to those who can manage and multiply. So plant what you've been given into fertile ground. Pour into the right people. Build structures that outlive your presence. Teach others what you've learned. And above all, stay submitted to the source. Because the more you give back to heaven what heaven gave to you, the more heaven will entrust into your care. You were never meant to be a reservoir, you are a river. You were not just given a transfer to live well, you were chosen to build what will outlast you. Heaven did not pour this wealth into your life just to meet your needs. It came to establish something permanent through your hands, your voice, your obedience. This is not a moment of possession, it is a mandate for legacy. Legacy isn't about fame. It isn't about how many people know your name. Legacy is about what continues moving when you're no longer present. It's the ripple that keeps echoing long after your final breath. And now that you have been trusted with divine resources, spiritual, mental, relational, financial, you are called to use them to build something that hell cannot dismantle. Think of David, the great king of Israel. He amassed great wealth, conquered territories, and was known as a man after God's own heart. But perhaps his greatest legacy was not in his own victories. It was in the temple he never built. Though he gathered the materials, it was his son Solomon who would build what David dreamed of. 1 Chronicles 28:20 captures his final instructions. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord God is with you. David understood that true legacy is about preparing others to build even when you're gone. So what are you building now that your hands have been filled? What structure, what system, what story are you laying down for your children's children to stand on? Maybe you're the first in your bloodline to walk in this level of blessing, the first to break free from debt, from chaos, from silence. That makes you a trailblazer, but it also makes you a foundation layer. And laying a foundation is not glamorous. It's slow, it's weighty, and it often goes unseen. But God sees it, He honors it. Hebrews 11:10 says that Abraham was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Abraham didn't see the full picture in his lifetime, but he walked with the long view. He walked like a man building eternity. Now you must walk the same. Use your resources to build structure. Use your wisdom to plant seed. Use your voice to break silence and your influence to unlock doors for those behind you. Because you're not just called to build wealth. You're called to establish a legacy of integrity, revelation, and dominion. There's a reason the warfare increased after your breakthrough. The enemy doesn't fear your overflow. He fears your legacy. Because if you build it right, it will restore bloodlines, birth new movements, and disrupt the systems that once held your family in captivity. Look at LeBron James, one of the most celebrated athletes of our generation. He didn't stop at championships. He launched the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio, for at-risk children. He said, "I just know that kids are our future, and I want to give them everything I didn't have." That's what it looks like to convert success into legacy. Not just provision, but protection for those who follow. You've been blessed to do the same. Start with what you have. Establish rhythms in your household. Speak life over your children every day. Teach them how to pray, how to think, how to give, how to stand. Build a legacy not of luxury, but of light, not of comfort, but of calling, not of stuff, but of spiritual inheritance. And don't think legacy requires perfection. It requires consistency in obedience. It requires daily agreement with heaven's plan, even when you don't understand all of it. Psalm 112, 1-3 gives us a blueprint. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord. His children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. That's your promise. That's your blueprint. That's your calling. So rise early and pray over what you're building. Be intentional about what you allow into your spirit. Protect your peace so your legacy remains pure. Document your lessons. Invest your wisdom. And never forget, you are the ancestor someone prayed for. You are the bridge someone will walk across. You are the reason someone will believe again. This transfer wasn't just for now, it was for forever. What you are building now carries eternal weight. This is not just the construction of wealth, it is the construction of a legacy, one that will bear your name but speak of God's glory. And because this legacy is divine, it must be guarded with the same intensity it was birthed with. Legacy without protection is vulnerable. You must understand this truth deeply. Every time heaven promotes you, hell takes notice. Not because you are weak, but because you are now dangerous to darkness. You are building altars where old curses once stood. You are teaching truth where silence once ruled. And because of this, the enemy doesn't need to destroy you to stop your legacy. He just needs to distract you long enough for it to collapse on its own. Spiritual warfare doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up as misplaced priorities, subtle exhaustion, harmless compromise. It disguises itself as good opportunities that pull you away from God assignments. You begin saying yes to everything until you forget what you were supposed to protect in the first place. Nehemiah faced this. While building the wall of Jerusalem, his enemies tried to lure him into distractions, meetings, false accusations, manipulations, but he refused. He said, "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down." Nehemiah 6:3. That is the posture you must adopt. Eyes fixed, hands steady, heart guarded. Every boundary you draw is not rejection, it is protection. Every no you say is not selfish, it is strategic. You are not just protecting a project, you are protecting purpose that generations will depend on. Can you feel how sacred that is? There will be times when you are misunderstood, times when even those close to you won't comprehend the weight of what you're carrying. But you are not here to be understood, you are here to be faithful. Look at Maya Angelou, the poet, the prophet in her own right. She once said, "I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. She knew that every word she spoke was carrying the weight of a generation. That is you. When you walk into a room, you do not walk in alone. You walk in carrying the prayers of those who came before you and the hope of those who will come after. So you must protect your time, guard your spirit, watch your gates, what you see, what you hear, who you let into your inner circle. Be careful who gets access to your mind while you're building. A single seed of doubt can delay an entire generation's deliverance. Ephesians 6:13 gives you the strategy. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. You cannot afford to build without armor, without prayer, without intercession, without divine focus. An unguarded builder is vulnerable to spiritual sabotage, and this is not the time to be casual. What you're stewarding now is too important, it's too prophetic, it's too permanent. So rise early and cover your work in prayer. Lay your hands on your children. Speak scripture into your plans. Intercede for your future. Declare divine boundaries over your household. This is not just your wealth. It's your witness. This is not just your business. It's your banner. This is not just success. It is seed. And as you guard, do not forget to rest in God's promise, because the one who called you is also the one who will sustain you. You are not just chosen to build, you are chosen to defend what you build, and your legacy will not be shaken. This is the moment where revelation becomes reality and prophecy becomes legacy. You've walked through the fire, you've withstood the delay, you've wrestled through seasons of silence and stood still in storms no one else could see. You've obeyed when it was lonely, remained faithful when it was painful, and believed when there was no visible reason to. And now you are living in what once lived only in your prayers. But this isn't the finish line. This is the beginning of inheritance. Inheritance begins when what was received is prepared to be released again, not out of lack, but out of overflow. It begins when the wealth God has transferred to you becomes the seed that carries purpose for others. The true measure of the transfer isn't in how high it lifts you, but in how deep it roots your legacy. As Deuteronomy 8:18 reminds us, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant." You were not blessed for applause. You were blessed to establish covenant on the earth. You are now the one your family will point to and say, "It changed with them." You are the one your spiritual lineage will remember as the turning point. And everything you do from this moment forward is not only about obedience, it's about positioning others to receive what you've been entrusted with. Like Elijah handing his mantle to Elisha, what you carry now is weighty, but it is transferable. You are preparing the next generation of prophets, builders, reformers, creatives, and visionaries. And they will not have to fight the same battles you did, because you broke the ground for them, because you bled for blessings they will be born into. But even as you pass it on, you don't retire from purpose. Your role evolves. You become the guardian of wisdom, the anchor of clarity, the whisper in the ear of rising giants who will stand on your shoulders. This is the anointing of a true elder in the kingdom, not one who hoards, but one who releases with strategy. Think of Nelson Mandela. After 27 years in prison, he didn't emerge bitter or small. He emerged focused, generational, expansive. He said, "What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others. That is the essence of inheritance, impact that lives long after you've exited the room." So now, chosen one, the inheritance begins, not just for you, but through you. Your voice will ignite dreams. Your choices will protect futures. Your alignment will open doors no man can shut. Your discipline will train nations. Your peace will prophesy. And your legacy will speak long after your name is no longer trending. You are not the end of the story. You are the bridge. You are the blueprint. You are the first fruits of something heaven dreamed of generations ago. And now that heaven has approved it, now that the gates have opened, now that the mantle is resting upon your shoulders, the inheritance has begun. Walk it out, speak it forth, guard it well, pass it on. You are ready. You've made it to the end of this message, but something in your spirit knows this is only the beginning. You've heard the call, you've felt the shift, you've been chosen to rise, to receive, and now to carry and multiply what heaven has entrusted to you. This wealth transfer isn't just about what enters your hands. It's about what flows through your life, into the lives you'll touch, the chains you'll break, and the legacy you'll build. And if you're still watching right now, it's not by accident. It means you're ready. Your spirit recognizes this moment because you were born for it. So walk boldly, guard wisely, pour generously, lead humbly, and above all, never forget who sent you. If this message lit a fire in you, don't keep it to yourself. Comment 777 below. to seal this word in agreement with heaven. It's a prophetic number of completion and divine perfection, and today it marks the fulfillment of your waiting season. If you'd like to help this message reach others, feel free to click the Super Thanks button below to support this channel. Your generosity fuels our mission to spread light, purpose, and truth to every corner of the world. And whether you give or not, thank you. Truly, your presence here is a blessing. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this message with someone who needs to hear that their breakthrough is not just coming, it has begun. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He turn His face toward you and give you peace, power, and provision in overflow. You are chosen. You are ready. The inheritance has begun. Now walk in it.